Hey guys, Jordan Belfort here, and it's time for your weekly intensive straight line training. And here's the deal. So I originally announced, I think some of you might have heard this. I said this weekend's topic is going to be body language, right? And I was all prepped to do that. And you also know that for the last 3 weeks, I've been threatening to launch the media server. But I don't know if you've ever had this, but a lot of coders tend to come from that part of the world we call India. And the one I had a really weird relationship with the fucking truth. Okay. And the guy's been promising me this. My whole team is laughing here, right? They drove us. This guy drove us fucking crazy for like week after week after week. The media service. Oh yeah, we'll test it in 1 hour. We'll test it in 1 hour, an hour. Never fucking worked, right? So I had to call in a whole new team, but I have an interim solution, as you can see, which is giving us a lot more flexibility with polling and other stuff right now. So you'll start to see a lot of improvement. Also, just so you know, for everyone on Patreon here, you're going to be moving now towards my actual back end member area. However, that being said, as great as that is, the only problem is that to really teach you body language the way I'd like to be able to have live interactive two-way video with a bunch of people. So I could be teaching it to some of you and you're using you as test subjects. And in order to really do it the right way, you have to see you. So we're probably another couple of weeks from really being able to do that without it, being interrupted in terms of the feed and so forth, slowing down or not being compressed the right way. So it's, just choppy and stuff. So I decided to do a strategic change of subject for today. And I picked a subject that really honestly is so fucking important. And it's really the most, on some level, I wouldn't say it's the most important thing. It's actually the most bang for your buck that you can get of anything that you can focus on. One topic, or let's say overarching set of skills that together can give you a most return in terms of your ROI, the biggest increase in ROI. What I'm talking about here is what happens after you close the sale. In other words, how do you take someone that buys from you once, and probably it's a relatively small transaction, because I actually, if you really are studying the straight line, you all are, right? You understand that and I'm going to go through this in a second because I did it on today's motivation, that the basis of the straight line is like, give me one shot. Like, I understand that we don't know each other. We don't have a track record of working together. So just give me one chance to show you my stuff. We can work smaller this time and then work bigger and better down the road. Now, in some industries, that's not possible, right? But in most industries, it is. In almost some way, in any industry, it's almost always possible to bring someone into the fold, so to speak, to have them become a customer and starting them off with a smaller commitment up front. And then you're upselling them and reselling them as the relationship builds and grows and they trust you more. They get to experience the benefits of your product. And they see that what you actually said not only was real, but even exceeded their expectations, hopefully. You've removed their pain now. And now instead of making a small sale, you can make a much larger sale. For example, if you're in the business, let's say you work as a salesman of like audio video equipment, right? You might have come and, came to someone's house. They were skeptical. They had 4 or 5 bids. You try to sell them an AV system. And maybe you installed an AV system that was kind of just a quick fix. You may even hung a TV set, repaired something, and charged $50. Seriously. And then all of a sudden, though, you did a great job. You said, I'm going to go. I don't want to give away the keys here yet. I'm just going to say what you do to create that sort of, customer file. Let's say you did a few things afterwards, which I'll teach you right in this lesson here. And you did these certain things that made them just really respect you and like you and want to only use you. And that $150 sale ended up becoming a $40,000 full redo of their whole house. That happens all the time. Another example is I trained a plumbing company in Australia many, many years ago. And what we did to radically increase their sales, in fact, it increased their sales so much, it almost blew them up, by the way. They had to call me back in to reorganize the operations, is by taking their calls. And because plumbers mostly get emergency calls. That's just basically like, my pipe broke, come fix my pipe, right? And they were having plumbers go out and fix the pipes, and they'd get a $80 sale, leave a business card, hope they got a new customer out of it, a real customer, right? Instead, I changed the whole premise where the plumbers would show up for the emergency thing with a clipboard, and they say, "Oh yeah, of course, do that. In fact, while I'm here, would you like me to do a quick once over and do a whole plumbing health check of your house, free of charge?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, great," and they do the whole thing, and there you go. And then and the problem was they would find so many things wrong typically in a home that it would screw up their schedule. They couldn't even have plumbers ready for emergency calls, so the guy would go there for an hour job would turn into a 3-day job. So what we had to do was create 2 teams of plumbers that went out on the emergency calls that were really the sales force that could do a quick fix and were proficient at selling with the straight line. And then the bigger jobs that came from that became scheduled jobs 2 weeks down the road. And you send the actual team of plumbers that really can't sell but can do the operations. You understand? So in other words, there's all these things that you can do to take a small customer and turn customer. And that's what this training is all about. There's been a lot of studies on this in terms of what it costs to actually land a new customer. And based on that, it's conclusive that the best money that you could ever spend is trying to keep that customer happy once you have them versus losing that customer and ongoing customer churn, right? So let me start, and I'm going to draw the straight line for you in a second. But let me just give you a story here. It's not mine, it's an old story. Who knows who invented it? It's a very old joke, right? And it's about customer service, and it takes place in, a guy dies, right? And he goes up to heaven, and he's at the gates of heaven, right? And he's been a good guy his whole life, right? So, St. Peter meets him at the pearly gates, and he says to him, "Listen, congratulations, you made it here, but listen, because you've been such a good person, okay, I'm going to, give you 2 options. You can come in here to heaven, or if you'd like, you can also go to hell." He goes, "In fact, I'm going to allow you to spend 1 day in each. You can spend a full day in heaven, spend a full day in hell, and then make your choice." He goes, "Wow, that's a pretty fucking deal, right?" He goes, "Yeah, okay, great." So he goes up to heaven first, right? Probably good, right? The food is really good, and it's very relaxing. There's meditation. They fucking walk around in white robes and fucking harps playing in the background, and the fucking little fucking angels with the fucking cherub faces, feeding you fucking caviar. Pretty good, but after the day's like, all right, it's got you kind of bored, but it's okay, right? Relaxing. And then he goes down to hell, and he goes down there. It's a fucking wild Stratton party. It's like there's fucking hookers on here and fucking, people getting blown. There's drugs, there's fucking rave parties. Everyone's dancing and carrying on. Best food, drinking, champagne. It's just fucking amazing. Like rock bands playing. And he's like, holy fuck. Right? And the whole day goes on. He loves it. He's getting laid. The guy's having the time of his fucking life. All right? That day's over. He goes back up now to the pearly gates. And St. Peter says, "Well, would you like to go to heaven? Or would you like to go down?" He goes, I feel kind of stupid saying this, but after the day I had there, in hell, I'm going to go to hell, right? So St. goes, "Your wish, my command." Snaps his fingers, and bam, this guy goes down to hell, and he gets there, knocks on the door, right? Walks in, the same little devil, "You're back, great." Takes him, "Come on in," slams the door. Next thing he goes, he hits him over the head, takes him into a fucking room, changes him into a wall, and says, "This is where you're going to spend the rest of your fucking eternity." So he goes, "What are you fucking doing? I spent a day here yesterday." You tell me. Goes, "Yeah, but you're a prospect, not you're a customer." Get the picture? In sales, we tend to treat our prospects really, really well. When we're courting someone, we're trying to land an account. We wine them and we dine them and we do everything we can to keep them happy. It's like that old joke that Chris Rock says, when a guy goes out on a date, he sends his representative. Same thing we don't send our true self, we send our representative. It's only 2 months later you find out what the person's really like, right? Well, let me just tell you something. This is what typically happens in most companies out there. They spend all this time trying to land a new customer, and then once they actually land the customer, all that wooing, all that value it just fucking goes out the window. And then they start developing this pattern of customer churn, which means they have to keep advertising, going through the same funnel again to land customer. So it's just a destructive thing to do. Okay? So now that I've framed what the value, really the importance of creating customers for life, let me tell you exactly what the phrase means. And then I'm actually going to go through, as I always do, get very, very specific here. And I'm going to go through 10 strategies, and maybe a couple of bonus strategies as well. And if we have time, we're going to go through the referral side. If we can't get to it this time, I'll deal with it another time. But I'm going to get very deep now and go through the actual things that you do to ensure that you take a one-time customer and turn them into a raving fan. And this jives very directly for those of you who do the daily motivations. You get the daily motivations from me every day, right? A separate program, okay? And I don't want to. I won't ever say anything, so I won't even talk about that. But for those who did, I spoke about this morning something called the step down sale. So let me do a quick refresh everyone's recollection about what that is. You all have it with the straight line system, but let's go through very quick, right? The straight line is such, right? This is your open and this is your close, right? We have our healthy boundaries above and below the line. When you're inside these boundaries, you're in control. When you're outside these boundaries, you're over Pluto or Uranus. And remember, and this is a very important distinction here, the essence of going to Pluto is when you ask a prospect a question, and they typically will start answering your question, in the way you want. They'll give you relevant information, but somewhere along the way, they start taking a left turn to Albuquerque, and next thing you know, you're talking about something that's completely unrelated to the subject. And you're talking about their personal life, their family, stuff that's just simply not germane to opening up a new account. That's death to the sales process. This idea of going off to Pluto and talking about things that are not germane to the sale. It's a telltale sign of a novice. You waste your time, you waste the prospect's time, and it does not build rapport like people think. It's actually repulsive to people. That being said, however, that rule actually flips up on its ass after you close the deal. So one of the mistakes people make with this trail is after they close a sale, that rule's gone. Now that they're actually your client, you actually want to spend a bit of time in Pluto because you want to identify certain aspects of their personal life and things that aren't exactly germane to the sale to let the customer know that you really care. And that's not unprofessional. It's professional and shows that you're not just there to make a sale. But let me stay on the straight line for right now. So you go down the straight line, you establish yourself as an expert, show off those first 4 seconds, you gather your intelligence, you build massive rapport, you do transition. You then do your straight line sales presentation, which ends with you asking for the order for the first time, and then you go through your looping patterns, right? And here's what I mean by a step down sale. Typically, what we do with the straight line, when we can, it's usually possible, is that we ask for a very big order the first time. The purest examples in the stock market, where I invented the straight line, where you might say someone pick up 10,000 shares of $50 stock, right? Which is it's a $500,000 trade. That's a lot of money for someone to send to someone they've never met before, they've spoken to before, right? It's a stranger. So you ask someone for a $500,000 commitment, and they say, let me think about it. And then you engage in your looping, and then you ask for the order the second time. But the second time, instead of asking for 500, you say, well, why don't we do this? Instead of starting off here, let's start a bit small. We'll pick up, let's pick up only, what was the price? Let's pick up 2,000 shares. We're looking at a cash outlay of only $100,000 right now. Of course, you'll make less money as the stock trades higher. In other words, what I'm saying, the percentage gain remains the same. What I'm doing here is essentially each time I run a loop, I reduce the level of commitment. So if you were an insurance salesman trying to land somebody on a major insurance package with all these different types of policies, like disability, life, health, right? As you went down the line and was asking to do it again, you might try, and you would try, to essentially lower the amount of the entry. So instead of it costing or being an investment of $100,000, he could start for $10,000. If you're selling someone a massive home video system, you could say to them, why don't you start with smaller, just work on this room first here. We'll do the main living room here. We have to do the whole wide. We can work after you see how much you love that, how great it works. We can come back and do the rest of the job down the road. Does that sound fair enough? So as you loop, you keep lowering the amount, lowering the amount, lowering the amount, right? So eventually the last time, let's say you run 4 loops, when you ask for the order the final time, you would essentially be at the firm minimum, the lowest level, the lowest amount of money that you could essentially open up an account with, whatever the least that makes sense in your industry. So you start off asking for a very big order, and you end up with a very small order, right? That whole premise of the straight line is, you give me a shot, let me show you what I can do, let me earn your trust. And then down the road, once you see how awesome my product is, once you see what great customer service I give, once you see how much I can do for you, how well my company stands behind the product, once you see all that, then we can work bigger and better down the road. And if you do that, believe me, the only problem you'll have is that you didn't buy more. Does that sound fair enough? That's your basic premise of the straight line in a nutshell, right? And in one context, right? However, that does not work very well if after you close the deal, you don't ever build a relationship with the client. If you don't get that client who is essentially testing out your idea, you don't turn that person into a raving fan. You get it? So that's got to be just as important as learning how to open up an account. So the straight line system does not end when the customer says yes. That's when the sale ends, but now you have a new sale that begins, and that new sale is turning that customer into a repeat customer who buys, who looks at you as the first point of contact, the first person they'll call for anything within your purview of what you sell, and they buy from you again and again and again, and ultimately recommend their friends and family as well. Okay, so what I have here, I actually made a list here because I want to, be very comprehensive. We only have an hour, right? So I want to be very comprehensive here. So here's a list I have of this 10 things, 10 distinctions that I want you to really internalize here and apply to your business. They're very easy to do. Some are just rules, some are strategies, but these are the things that tend to trip people up and cause customers to essentially abandon ship and not become repeat customers. In fact, there's a study I found today, and let me just want to show you one thing. It's actually on the subject of indifference. In other words, what's the chief cause? And here, just hold on, if I can find it here. Hold on a second, if I can find it. Let's see. Man, it's probably 5 levels down by now. Word always fucks me over. So I can find it. Hold on a second. Let's see. Not here and here. Oh, you want to funny? My computer ran, but I probably fucking erased. I mean, no big deal. There's a study they did, and they said that over 80% of the time, the reason that a customer ends up saying, fuck it, I'm not interested, is because of indifference. They felt they were treated indifferently, meaning they were marginalized in some way. Either they dealt with one person in the company who didn't really seem to care about them, and because of that, boom. End of the deal. They go find someone else. So indifference is that cornerstone, negative thing that just totally destroys your relationship. So let's start at number 1 here. I'm going to go through each one in depth and give you a these strategies. Okay. Number 1, the first thing, and this is such an important rule, and I call it never ducking a phone call. Never duck a phone call. Let me just tell you something. Ducking a phone call is literally the death of the relationship. Customers will accept that things go wrong, that delivery dates get pushed back, that stocks go down, that insurance products have certain caveats and they got to make their payments, that audio products or computers have glitches and bugs, that software doesn't always work the way it's going to get that, okay? And they'll accept that as long as you get on the phone like a man and front it. Once you duck a call, meaning they call you and you're like, oh yeah, tell them, take a message to your secretary that goes to your voicemail, and you don't call them right back, you are fucking screwed. The relationship will never be the same. I'm telling you, one ducked call destroys a relationship. They will never trust you at a high level again. This was something at Stratton, obviously in the stock market and other certain industries where there is a lot of bad news going around, right? Because stocks go up, stocks go down. And that's a lot of industries. Things go well, things don't go so well, right? One duck call, and I would say you get fired. You cannot work here and duck. I don't care what's going on. You got to answer the phone, because it always ends up becoming what? A customer complaint. Now, that was even before the internet, right? When customer complaints were kind of hard to track. You couldn't see how many complaints were. Now, if you have a sales force that's ducking calls, or you as a salesman are ducking calls, you're destroying your own business, and you're also destroying the business that you work for. The easiest thing to do is just pick up the phone and say, well, I'm really sorry. I'm glad to help you. Let me look into that right now, and don't pass the buck. Deal with it yourself. But once you duck that phone call, I'm telling you, it's disastrous. And in turn, there's another aspect. It's just making yourself readily accessible. In other words, don't be one of these people that you spend all day long trying to get new accounts, and then you don't want to deal with any of the problems. You're trying to always pass the buck on your existing clients. Great salespeople have repeat clients. I'm telling you, I was in the mortgage business. I'll tell you a story. I was in the mortgage business, right? And I told you this thing last week. I would go door to door and sell mortgages. It was unbelievable. And I made one day I made $140,000 in one day just going in the jewelry district, booth to booth. Seriously, I made massive money, and training sales would do the same thing, right? One of my accounts was a company called Farron Tax, F-A-R-I-N, Farron Tax, right? They were a little house, like somewhere in Long Island, like a house, like, you know, you have these businesses that are in a house. We went to some fucking house, and I just came and walked in, knocked on the door, and had a little sign like Farron Tax. It was a mom and pop operation. This one company referred 150 people to me, and I made $10,000 a pop. And all they wanted in return was $500, okay? And they were licensed too, by the way, so you could pay them. They were licensed brokers themselves, right? $500 for doing the pay. They would do the paperwork for you, so they earn their keep, right? And every year I would take them out for a nice dinner, tell their story. That was it, okay? But let me tell you something. I then passed that. I got out of the business, and I passed that account to someone else. Guess what? 6 months later, they were gone on to somebody else because that person didn't court them, didn't keep in touch with them, and didn't handle their clients the right way. Remember, if you're a referral source, if you screw one of their clients, you're going to lose that source, okay? And it starts with this whole aspect of ducking calls and making yourself accessible. You got to make yourself accessible, okay? Number two, this is a weird one here, but it actually works incredibly well, and I do it all the time. I call it send them to your competitor. Now, the story with this one goes back to a movie I'm sure that you've seen called Miracle on 34th Street, right? It's a great Christmas movie. In that movie, they have this guy who's a real Santa, right? Anyway, he's working at Macy's, and what he does is that it's Christmas time, and some woman comes in, I think, for ice skates, and Macy's doesn't have the ice skates, so he sends him to Gimbels, which is Macy's arch nemesis, their competitor, right? And at first, when the boss, the guy who's direct report hears, goes, "Oh my God, how did you do this? You're gonna get fired and freak out." But what happens is that there's so much positive feedback. They start getting letters from people that saying, "Thank you, I can't believe you did this. What great Christmas spirit. You sent me to your competitor." And the media picks it up. They get all over the newspaper. And it becomes such a big thing that even Gimbels joins in, and they start doing the same thing. And you get it. You've probably seen the movie, right? But here's the truth. It actually works in real life for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you have a customer and they call you and you don't have a product that really fits their needs. Maybe you almost do, but not quite. Someone else has got a much better fit. And you actually send them to that other person. Is there any other way better to earn someone's trust? What says more about I'm not just in this to make money and earn a commission than that? Nothing. So not only will they trust you at a level they never trusted you before. Let me tell you, trust is the basis of all long-term relationships. It just is, bottom line. When trust is there, it's very easy for everything else to happen smoothly. When trust is broken, very difficult, which is why ducking the phone call is so toxic, right? But here's the deal, okay? On top of that, they will also start looking at you as a point of first contact for anything that's maybe in your purview. And a lot of times, maybe that time you didn't have the problem, but most of the times you will. So they'll start calling you more often, and they'll tell their friends as well. So sending someone to your competitor can be a very powerful strategy, and it works really, really well. Now, that being said, you got to be smart about it, okay? You know, I've never sent someone to a direct competitor who I know is going to steal my client from me and start selling exactly what I have. I mean, not that someone has a straight line, so it doesn't really matter that much. But even then, if someone's like a sales trainer, I'm going to always ask myself that question: Is this gonna, really, amount to what I want it to amount to? Or is it going to backfire? So you have to be a little bit smart. But you'll find that 95% of the time, you actually can send them to somebody else that really has what they need. And not only is it not going to negatively impact you, but it will create this massive trust, massive reciprocity, and also position you as that first point of contact for anything. They'll just, hey, do you have this? Where can I find this? And that's a customer I want. That's going to be a big customer over time. Okay, that's number 2. Let's move on to number 3. Okay, and here's a big one. Remember their family. Okay, and by the way, let me combine these two together here. Okay, it's going to please remember their family. And with that, give gifts correctly. The use of gifts, correct gifts. Use gifts correctly. Give gifts correctly. Okay? Let me explain here. This is what I was talking about when I said that while you don't want to go off to Pluto when you're trying to sell someone something, once you've sold them something, you actually want to spend a little bit of time, it's not Pluto, but finding out about what makes them feel alive. It's called their aliveness, like outside of work. What are their hobbies? What are their interests? What makes them feel good? Where do they like to travel to? What are their passions? Tell me about their family. How many kids do you have? When are their birthdays? Where are they in college? What are they doing? What sports do they like? Let me tell you the most powerful story about this. And it's funny, I just heard another one that was just like, let me tell you the first story here. And I can't remember the second one too. I heard it as a blip. It was like very simple. This is a great story, okay? Pix was like 15, 20 years ago, Ford Motor Company, massive company, right? One of the buyers there, a buyer for Ford that was responsible for like a parts manufacturing, right? So he was a huge buyer of parts, right? Someone else, a salesman, had been trying to crack that 3 years. It was like $100 million account. He could not crack this account. He could not get Ford to open up. He had taken the guy to lunch a couple of times. He'd spoken to him on the phone. He'd made in-person presentations. He'd send them tickets to this. He tried everything, right? Goes on for a few years. Well, one day they're at lunches in Chicago, right? They're in lunch in Chicago, and they're talking about their personal lives, and the Ford buyer happens to mention that his son loves football, and he loves this one quarterback in Chicago. I forgot the name of the quarterback. Loves the guy. And it just so happens that the salesperson had an inroad to that quarterback. He knew someone that knew them really, really well. He didn't say anything during lunch. They were just, sorry, but I'm really locked up with our current thing, but thanks for lunch. If anything comes up, I'll let you know. That's been going on for 3 years, and, it's basically not a callback, right? Guy goes home, goes back to the office, right? And he makes a call to his friend. His friend calls up this quarterback, and he gets the quarterback to get a regulation NFL football. And he has the quarterback say, "Dear Jimmy, okay, from your pal, Sam," whatever the quarterback is. And he has this quarterback, this kid's favorite quarterback, autograph a football directly to this buyer's kid, right? Next day, he FedExes the football to the buyer at Ford. And he says a little handwritten thank you note. "Hey, I thought your son would love this. I happen to know the quarterback. Best wishes, John," right? Gets a call back from the guy from Ford the same day. "Oh my God, in my entire life, no one has ever done things so thoughtful and so, I can't tell you that when my son sees this, he's going to be over the moon. It's going to be the blah, 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 blah." He's like, "Listen, I wish I could give you some business now. We're all locked up. I promise if something comes up in the future, I really will try to think of you first. Because don't worry, I just did it because I thought it would be a nice gesture. Because we do for our friends, right?" So, meaning the salesman said, this is what we do for people that we do as we care about, right? Guess what? 1 week later, gets a call from the guy, $50 million order. Get the picture? Remember their family and use gifts correctly. Those two things go together. Once you know what someone's, let me go in two directions here. It's so important. We talk about what's someone's aliveness, meaning like if I'm going to give a gift to a plumber for Christmas, the worst gift I could give him is a fucking wrench. He's gonna fucking hate me. Hey, here's a wrench. Just remind you what you do every single day and probably hate. Here's your wrench, okay? But if I have taken the time to find out that the plumber loves to go fishing, his hobby is fly fishing, and I send him for Christmas a subscription to Fly Fishing Magazine. So every fucking month, it shows up on his thing, and a little note from you, and they have these services that do this for you, right? Hey, Jimmy, compliments of so-and-so, and keep sitting there, bam. That's a powerful gift. You get it? But if you don't ask those questions and don't know what someone's aliveness is, how can you hit the nail on the head? You'll end up doing what this guy did. I'll tell you another story that happened to me. This schmuck, okay? Back in the day at Stratton, before telephone systems were like they are now with voice over internet protocols, all your stuff was like when you had a phone bill and it would come in like we had, a couple thousand guys on the phone, right? They would deliver my bill in a truck, like an 18-wheeler would come and take out 35 boxes like this thick with our phone bill. My dad, as crazy as he fucking was, he'd go over every fucking call, check for porn calls, right? Back in the day, right? So anyway, we get our bill in an actual truck. The guy who owned this company who had our service was called TFN, Telefiber Net. We had this independent provider because we could save us money. Well, this guy, okay, he tried to buy, this TFN. This guy tried to buy off my father, right, with tickets to the Jets. He said, "Oh, here's tickets to the Jets," right? My father hated the Jets so much. My father was like, and there's a Giants fan. It's a knife through his fucking heart. It's like my son. Imagine if someone, what was it?
Seahawks.
Right. If someone gave you tickets to the Seahawks, what you
I just do anything.
and what if they gave you to the what team do you hate?
The Patriots.
And if they gave you to, what would you do? Get the fuck out of my office and lose my help, right? Seriously. How do you give me tickets to a football game? I'm like, go fuck yourself. Get out of my office. Don't try to buy my business. Give me tickets to the U.S. Open where Federer's playing in the quarterfinals. You got my business. But how do you know this without asking? You see what I'm saying, you guys? This is the keys to the kingdom for really building long-term relationships. So this big misconception of going off to Pluto, I'm talking about during when you're trying to close. Afterwards, you have to find out these things because you can then hit the nail on it. Another example, great gift to give, are these like coffee table books. Let's say you know someone loves traveling to wineries. And you go buy them a beautiful coffee table book with all the beautiful wineries. It sits on that fucking every time they see that, it reminds them of you, right? But send that same guy, a book of something he just completely hates or despises, like the beautiful leading hotels in the world, and the guy who likes to stay in the fucking motel work very well. So this idea of using giving gifts, ethical gifts is such a powerful strategy, but it has to be done correctly. So I want you to make sure, seriously, take action on this immediately. Monday, take action. Start when you close new people and when you have conversations with your existing clients, ask them questions, do a little bit of intelligence gathering, and find out what makes these people feel alive. What are their interests? What are their hobbies? What does their family do? What schools do they go to? And see if there's these little opportunities to do things to essentially show that you care. I'm telling you, it will come back to you 8,000-fold almost every time. It's really, really powerful. I promise you. Okay, let's keep moving, folks. We're running out of time here. Okay. Next, this is a great one. Another one. Write effective thank you notes and stay in touch. This is something that I've done myself and I had great success with. I'm talking about little handwritten thank you notes. Hey, Jim, great meeting you, but I look forward to doing business. Sign myself. Simple. Pleasure serving you. Looking forward to a long, just very short and sweet. Nothing long, nothing fancy. Short handwritten note. Another great thing is you see an article about something would be relevant to someone. Rather than just emailing it, and this is really, again, you have to make a decision here. You send them something with a little post-it. Thought you'd like this. J. Snail mail. Has a major impact on someone. If you hit the nail on the head with that, it's very powerful. Let me give you an example of someone who used thank you notes with incredible success. Mike Ovitz. Remember Mike Ovitz back in the day? He was the super agent in Hollywood. Now he's a pariah here because he was not such a nice guy. And I don't know him myself. That's why I heard he was a bit of a bastard, right? Anyway, Mike Ovitz built his business on this process of ingratiation. He would ingratiate himself to people. And one of his primary ingratiation strategies was using thank you notes. He had a team of people. This guy was making 100 million a year. He had a team of people scouring the trades, I mean, the Variety, Hollywood Reporter, right? And every time he saw an actor land a role or a producer, writer, he'd send a little thank you note. They thought it was from him, right? Hey, Mike, here, congratulations. Good luck with that new series you got. He'd send these thank you notes all over town, little bottles of wine, right? Totally. And he would steal everybody's client like that. Because here's what happens. You might approach someone and they like the agent they currently have on Tuesday, right? Then you approach that same person next Thursday, they fucking hate the person. And you stay relevant in their minds because did he send you a thank you note? Your agent? No, because he doesn't really care about you. Is he on time? Is he sending you gifts? No, he doesn't really care. He's relentless and stay on top of these people with thank you notes, little gifts. So I want you to write thank you notes anytime you can and make them short. You make them sweet. You make them handwritten and use emotional-based language, okay? Don't use a lot of love seeing you. It was a pleasure serving you, okay? Sincerely, Jay. Best wishes, Jay, whatever your name is, right? Okay? Very, very powerful stuff, okay? Let me see what time is. Make sure we have time for Q&A, okay? Next, this is a big one. Getting back to my Indian friend who, by the way, I want to kill when I see this guy, this Indian program who fucked me over, okay? The worst thing, my staff, am I lying, guys? How bad was it? It was so bad. How much do you hate this guy, honestly? Not as a problem. I actually like the guy as a person. I want to strangle him. If you're watching this, Gotham, I want to.
Have you seen the first episode of the Mayans?
The first episode of the Mayans. Yeah. The drug lord, he actually puts a belt around this guy's arm over here. He puts a belt around this guy's arm and he chops off his arms, but the guy doesn't bleed out because he's tied up. I'm like, hey, Gotham, yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm a very passive guy, actually, sort of. Except for hanging that butler out the window in the Wall Street. He deserved it. He stole from me. Anyway, okay, but I just gave the order. I didn't do it myself. My hands are clean, all right? Anyway, Gotham, I want you to remember this, okay? This next strategy, because it applies directly to you and everybody else who fucking lies to the teeth. Under-promise and over-deliver. The management of expectation is the key to a long-term relationship. Tell somebody you'll be done in 3 days and you're done in 4, they fucking hate you. Tell them you're done in 6 days and get done in 5, they fucking love you. This guy lied to me probably 300 times about the due date. This will be done. And because of that, he's constantly the guy's sweating, he's under pressure because he's over-promising everything. You need to under-promise and over-deliver. Now, you're probably saying, okay, Jordan, I know, I've heard that before. But let me just tell you something. People know, but they don't fucking do it. I want you to live by that mantra. I am an under-deliverer. Don't back yourself into a corner. People understand that certain things just take time or certain features are included and others are not. Don't tell your customers that, yeah, you get these 24 things and then they get it and they have 5 if they buy the other 20, okay? Tell them they have 4 features when they actually have 7. They love you. You understand? Under-promise, over-deliver, and make it your mantra. In all, and but this is not just it's not just in business, it's in life. It's in all parts of communication. When you speak to people that you love, your friends, but especially in a business setting. Because as I always say, I'm not here to teach relationship mastery, right? That's Tony Robbins. I'm money mastery, sales mastery, right? In business, make it a fucking a mantra: under promise, over deliver. If you're selling cars, don't promise them the car will be there in 4 days when it's going to take 9 to try to make the sale. They'll never trust you again. No matter, don't tell someone in insurance that, this thing, if it's no deductible. Oh, no, so they'll just come out, they'll pay you automatically when the guy's going to end up coming to the house and having to do an adjustment and then look at the property. They'll never trust you. I could go on and give examples here, but the bottom line is you know what I'm talking about. And it's simply a matter of that moment of truth when your bullshit, when your tendency to let bullshit fly out of your mouth is just pull it, reel it fucking back in. Under promise, over deliver, I promise you, your life will end up being so much less complicated, and you'll have so many more happy customers who will buy from you again and again and again. And it comes down again to the management of expectation. Okay, let's keep going here. This is a big one for the straight line. Let me write this one down. Okay, this is a big one because the straight line allows you to circumvent this. So you have to be careful. Always leave the customer in a better place. What do I mean by that? Well, here's one of the problems with a straight line. It's so powerful. It is. It's so effective that you can get people to do things they shouldn't do, buy things they shouldn't buy, and don't do that. But here's the other one, a little bit more subtle, or buy more of what they should buy. In other words, what I always say is like, yeah, you can get someone that needs a bag of soil, and you use a straight line and sell them a fucking dump truck of soil. And they hate you for it. In other words, don't use the straight line to load products onto someone that will take them 5 years to use. You want to leave the customer in a better place. Always make that a point. So when you're selling, ask yourself that important question. Is that, okay, maybe I could sell them 18 bags of something or 24 pallets of something, but maybe I'll make less commission by selling them 3 pallets, but they'll order from me much quicker, and they won't resent me every time they walk by those fucking pallets and say, that motherfucker, he sold me 3 years worth of prop. I need 1 or 6 months. You understand? You might get one big sale out of it by using the straight line or ethically, and that's the only sale you'll ever make. And not only you lose all the repeat business or that particular product, you have all the other products that you can sell them. Yeah, you sold extra few bags of soil, but all the other stuff? What about all the referrals you would have gotten? Terrible. Always leave your customer in a better place. That means sell them only the features they need. If you have a cloud-based service, don't sell them 54 things they'll never use. If it's like, oh, an extra $4, $20, you sell them what they need. Don't sell them 18 times of storage they need. Whatever it is, sell them what they need. Let them have room for growth, but let them feel good. You don't want to impulse them to buy more using the straight line. And every time they look at that motherfucker, he's some salesman. People will love the fact that you're a great salesman as long as you don't oversell them shit. Okay? Be very careful with that. Okay? No, because the straight line allows you to do the opposite. So don't do that. Okay? Next, here's a very important one. The money is in your list. For all you guys who market online, sell online, really to anyone, but the money is not in your list. It's in your relationship with your list. What do I mean by that? Well, what happens very often is you can develop a very, very large list by opt-ins and having things, you have someone opt in, you give them something and they, you get countless a million names, right? But if you don't actually have a touch points where you send them stuff, information, little free gifts in the form of, like, if you're an information marketer, right? Or you simply send them emails once in a while, the list goes cold. In other words, it's not how many people you have on your list. It's what type of relationship you have with the people on your list. Otherwise, spammers would be the richest people in the world because they have the biggest lists, but no one buys them. No one looks at their emails. It's funny. I'm dealing with this right now because I told you the story, right? I took 3 years off. I had a big list of people. I had 3 years. I went with one company and I built their business. It was the best decision I made financially, right? And then I came back to my own business and like 500,000 names I hadn't spoken to anybody in years. And I mailed out to them and it was kind of cold because I hadn't spoken to anybody in a long time. I said, yeah, that makes sense. And then just this last week, I decided, you know what? I said, I'm done with this. I don't want to be sending emails out to people who don't want to receive them or aren't going to read them. You have this whole thing, what's your open rate? And I'm saying, I'm going to call all those people. I'm just going to get rid of them and start over. I don't want to be mailing people who don't want it, don't read it. It's just a joke. But here's the thing, the blame is on me. I let my own list go cold. Don't make the same mistake. I had a reason to do it. I got out of my own business, but I could have, not in my defense, I could have actually had someone that kept sending them stuff, kept it relevant. I paid a little bit of money for that, and would have all those people still happy to receive offers from me. But it doesn't matter who you are, celebrity like I am or not, doesn't matter. If you don't keep your list current, the list will go cold. So remember, I want you to think of things that you can do, little touch points, whether it's a monthly newsletter that you can create, something of value, a video training you can send out that costs you nothing, but just lets them know that you're still there and you care. A little thank you note during holiday times. Whatever it might be, some way that you continue to stay relevant in that person's and all your people's minds. And you'll watch how not only will your conversions go, but your open rates will go up. People will open. Otherwise, you go into that sort of dead pile and they just don't even look at it anymore, okay? Mistake I made, don't make it yourself, okay? We got another few minutes before we start Q&A, okay? Let's go now. I started with this one, so let me end with it. And I said, never show indifference. Let me tell you what I mean by that. The biggest mistake that you can make is you open up an account, you have a great relationship, a problem arises earlier, and let me hang you up to customer service, right? Do you understand that customer service is not a department? It's not customer service. Customer service is that you need to do yourself. You're a salesman. If you don't do customer service, you're fucked. Customer service is part of sales. That's how you develop relationships. Look at it like this. If you want to be thick about it, let me look at firstly. You have 3 10s, right? They must love your product. They must trust to connect with you. They must trust the company. Now, obviously, this is a linchpin. They have to love your product and they're going to buy it, right? Bottom line. People don't buy things they don't like or need or want, right? But let me just say this. If they don't trust you or they don't really feel in lockstep with you, that long-term relationship suffers. They buy from other places. You want to be that first person they go to, that go-to person. Customer service. I'll say to the customer service department, hold on. Good luck with that. Customer service is something that everybody should deal with. You know, in Amazon, a company I love, they're fucking awesome, right? Do you know that every single employee at Amazon has to spend 2 days a year, including Jeff Bezos, in customer service? Answering fucking customers. I do. Did I do the other day?
Yep.
I do it all by driving my son crazy. Saying, son, you answered that the wrong way. I want you to make sure you not apologize. You didn't answer it in a way that I said, the customer's always right. Go above and beyond. Someone had a problem. It wasn't awful. It was with another service, but someone bought something from me and some ancillary provider did a shit job. And my son was like, he's just getting started. That he's a marketer, right? He's like, oh, really sorry. We don't really deal with that. All right. I said, no. I said, listen. Intuitively, you're right, but that's not how we handle customers. I want you to go back there and say, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me handle it myself. We'll take care of it. I'll make it right. Guess what? You just got yourself a customer for life. There's a great book. They call it guy from I think it was Scandinavian. It's called Magic, creating moments of magic, moments of truth. In other words, every time you have a relationship with a customer, there's an intersection, customer truth. What are you going to do? Are you going to have a great relationship growing experience or relationship diving, right? The relationship is here, and the 2 people interact. Customer, company. Is it going to get increased trust or decreased trust? Each one is a moment of truth. That's from Scandinavian Airlines, a CEO many years ago, right? He wrote a book about it, all right? Awesome concept. Ask yourself, what do you do with each moment of truth? Use it as an opportunity to build massive rapport, reciprocity. And let's talk about, before we move on to Q&A, let's talk about language very quickly. I do someone a favor, right? I go above and beyond. And when someone has a problem and I solve that problem, they call me back and say, wow, thanks. I really appreciate how you handled that. And I say to them, oh, no, don't worry, it's no big deal. I just fucked myself. Yeah, what I did for you has no value, right? No. I said, oh, of course, listen, it wasn't easy, but you know what? That's what we do for our friends and our customers. That's what we do for our people that we do business with. That's how we do that. I'm sure you would do the same too. You create massive reciprocity. Listen, the whole idea is reciprocity. The big R, reciprocity. R-E-C, reciprocity, right? If you give value to someone else, they want to give it back to you intuitively, naturally, the golden rule. So you do a favor for someone, you go above and beyond for a customer, and they call you back and say thank you. And you say, there's nothing. They say, all right, well, then I owe you nothing. I don't say, I say, oh, no, of course, listen, it was tough, but you know what? That's what we do for our friends. That's what we do for our customers. I'm sure you do the same for me. They say, oh, of course I would. Bingo, you get some massive reciprocity. Don't let those moments of truth pass you by. Go above and beyond, do the right thing, and watch how the relationship grows. That's how you become a top producer. Opening up tons of accounts using the straight line and then taking each one and maximizing the relationship. Make sense? Now, we don't have time for referrals, but I'll get to it in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so let's go to the Q&A right now. Why don't we start, Bowen? Boom, let's go.
We look for some questions, Patreon, can you give an example of terminology you use when you ask for the order?
It's for the order. Well, it's not quite about cost of site, but I'm still happy to answer that question, right? So when I ask for the order, I always use I call it a tritonal pattern, meaning off with absolute certainty. So I'm coming from a place of certainty. I'm building this show, and you do this, and believe me, Jim, that's certainty, right? The only problem you'll have is you didn't get started 6 months ago because you'd already be making money. That's sincerity. So it's absolute certainty, collapse to utter sincerity, because you'd already be making money. And then I go, sound fair enough? Reasonable man. So I put 3 tonalities together. Absolute certainty into utter sincerity, and then going to the reasonable man. Here's how it sounds. So you give me one shot, Jim, and believe me, the only problem you'll have is that you didn't buy more. Sound fair enough? See my body language? Sound fair enough? The only problem you'll have. Believe me. See, I do different things. Believe me, the only problem you'll have, you didn't buy more. Sound fair enough? I'm reasonable. You're reasonable. Those are my 3 pads. Next question.
When can you start giving your customers gifts?
Good question. Right away. Okay. Now, again, the first thing you want to do strategically, the first thing is a thank you note. Okay. And then again, now remember, typically the very important thing is to check in with your customer. Good question, by the way. After you sell something, you want to check in with them a week later. This is all part of the ups. This is when I get to referrals, and we'll talk about this stuff, how you actually upsell second and third sales. This is a different topic. I'm just talking about general strategy, but you always want to check in with them a few days later and see how things are going. Make sure there's any problems that you can solve for them, right? At that point in time, that's your first touch point. And after that, then I would very quickly follow it up with a thank you note. So it's right in the beginning, right then. Okay. Next question.
Another question is: someone mentioned the daily motivations. Can they be delivered to my email? Where do I sign up? Get a trial? Question mark.
The daily motivations are basically the weekly intensive is once a week. Daily motivations are every single morning, 10 minutes. You basically get me in your ear going through skills training, motivation. And in fact, I'll send an email to everybody, and then I promised everyone they get a week last week. And it's not that of course I'm going to deliver. I never would underpromise, and I never would overpromise you and underdeliver. That's the Indian's fucking fault, okay? Just so you know, okay, the bastard that he is, okay? So I thought I'd have this week, okay? I'll have everybody squared away. I'll give everyone a free trial on the daily motivation. And by the way, I decided to lower the price. I'll tell you all, it's some awesome stuff going on. So you get all these wonderful things. Next question.
Can you repeat the 10 strategies again? I want to write them down.
Yes. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I have actual slides here. So I'm going to take it all the way. Watch this here. If I can make this, let's go to presenter view. Hold on a second. I'm going to actually go to presenter view here. So I'm going to put it right in front of the camera. Let Anjay, that's not this wrong clip. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. Escape. It's not presenter view. It's slideshow. 1 second. Motherfucker. 1 second. View. Let's go to slideshow. And I got to go all the way to the end. Hold on a second. 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'll give you the right slide here. You can screen. Okay. I know there's a way to do it to avoid all this, but I just don't know it. Hit up. Good. Okay. Here, watch. Right? This is my list I have for you guys. Okay.
Write them down.
Write them down. Save it to your smartphone. Let me tell you something. I can't tell you. Just people make this mistake all the time. They work so hard to open up a sale, and they just fucking blow it by not paying attention to the customer. implement these strategies, and then we'll go on the referral strategies as well, and just watch what happens to your business. Between this and the actual closing aspects of the straight line, you'll be golden. All right, let's go. Next question.
Someone just said, I just read your book. I loved it. Do you recommend any other books for sales?
You know, the truth is, I have one. There's a book I read a long time ago called The 1 Minute Salesperson. It was the first book I read about sales. It's very basic, right? But with an adjunct of it, you couldn't read a book and really apply it and make money. But with the actual straight line system, it works well because it just shows you some of these sort of overarching principles. So, but other than that, there are no real sales books that I think are really good. I mean, most of the stuff is just shit. It's recycled stuff. But one book I always talk about, I love, is Think and Grow Rich. I think that's awesome. Also, Dr. Bandler, who invented NLP, has got some good books on the inner game of success, on managing your emotional state and stuff like that. So, but with the straight, honestly, with the straight line system, you know, there's a guy actually who does stuff on customers for life. Not Ken something or other. He's very good with customer, like he just focuses on the after sale. And that's a guy that I respect. He has expertise, and it's not so much in closing deals and what happens after. I'll get you that name and I'll send it out to everybody. Here's a book it's definitely worth reading. Okay, next question.
The next question is, so when can I get those daily motivations?
This week. I'm sorry about last week. All right. It's the fucking Indians' fault. All right. Andre, is yes or no? Yes. Yes, right, Andre? Yeah. She'd lie for me anyway, Andre. Right? She'd bury the body. Tell me. Anyway, no, I promise you next week. Okay. Next question.
Is there ever a gift that's like too expensive? Is there a price?
Yes. Good point. Good point. I missed that. I should have brought that up. Very good. Whoever asked that question. Right. So here's the deal with that. Okay. Number one, if you give a too expensive a gift, they could say you're trying to bribe them, and it doesn't make sense. Gifts are not supposed to be wildly expensive. Now, again, you know, if you're Tony Stark and selling $500 million of smart bombs as Jericho missile, yeah, you can give them the fucking beautiful ice chest freezer with the champagne shit, like in the movie, right? I'm sure with every $500 million order, they get one of those, right? That's in the fucking movies, okay? In the real world, typically you're looking at things that are under $100. Although sometimes tickets to a great show, or, you know, they can be very expensive, tickets to a sporting event. But most companies, they have budgets for this. So if you work for a company, they'll have their own perk season tickets. And they budget that in, right? What you don't want to do is look like a cash bribe. It's not really that's more of a referral strategy. When some industries, by the way, where it's legal to pay for referrals, then we have certain set rates. Like in the stock market, you can pay someone 5% of the money you raise if it's for a certain type of an investment, and they have a certain registration, or it could be, you don't even need to be rich. Sometimes they can just get 5% commission. It's very standard. In other industries, it's regulated. You can't pay commission. Like with physicians, they cannot pay for referrals, and lawyers can't pay referrals, but they can advertise on TV and they work out all this fucking stuff. What you don't want to do is bribe your way because your product is inferior. It's not about that. It's got to be more like because you care. The simplest thing, a $30 football yielded a $100 million order. Always remember that. Okay? Don't relate it to dollars and cents so much. It's about understanding what makes someone feel alive out of work, what makes someone that they love feel alive, and fill that need elegantly and cheaply. That's the ticket. Okay, we have time for 2 more questions.
I'm on Patreon right now. Is that gonna mean I have to move from this soon?
Yeah, you're gonna have to move on Patreon. The answer is yes. I'm gonna run Patreon. That's a good point. Let me bring this up. Yeah. Patreon. I'm done with Patreon. I love them. They're great people. It was just a test I used because I wanted to. You know, you guys know it. I'll give you a couple of minutes here because this is important business here. For you to learn from this. I myself am always testing different ideas. I have a vision right now to build like the Netflix of success. That's what my plan is here. Which is why you say, why is he doing this for $9.99 a month? Like, and you know, come on, you know, this is worth a lot more than that, right? I charge $100,000 a day to train people. All right. And you're getting 1 hour of real training. It's not the bullshit free webinar where they try to sell you shit at the end. And even if I did sell you stuff, it's $4 a month, right? It's not what this is about. This is real. It's about training you and giving you massive value. Why am I doing it? Because my end game here is I'm saying I'm going to give people so much value and keep the price so low that every millions will sign up. What's 1 million times $9.99? It's $10 million a month. And then with the daily motivation, say the price is up to $14.99, so I'm going to actually lower the price. I'm charging $20 right now for both. I'm going to bring that down. So those of you who are paying $20, it's about to go down to $14.95 for both. Because I'm playing the long game here. All right. So I have like a $9.95 price point and $14.95. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm explaining my business model to you. And think about this for yourself. I'm creating long-term continuity. I'm trying to over-deliver value. I give massive value to people. You get it? And I haven't even started telling you, hey, tell your friends. I haven't started with like the, letting you make money by bringing people into the system. I haven't started really running Facebook ads yet. I'm going to tomorrow. So my long game is millions of people. And then what I'll do is, let's say I have like a friend, my friend Joe Polish, brilliant marketer. I'd say to Joe, listen, would you like to have like a weekly spot on my thing? You never can sell. You only have to teach your best strategies, and I'll pay you $50,000 a month to come here, or even a week. I don't care. I'll have a budget of $5 million a month to spend on other speakers. You get it? I'll go. Richard Branson for $250,000 to his charity will come here and give you 2 hours or 3 hours. So my goal is that when you're lying in bed, any time of day, you can always, let me tune and see what's on JB's network. It's always going to be the best speakers in the world. There's never going to be bullshit webinars where they try to sell me shit. I'm just going to learn, and you'll have a menu of shit. And there'll never be more than $14.95 a month. You get it? How great is that? I have 5 million people paying me $14.95 a month, and I'm using, that's like, billions of dollars, right? Do the fucking math there, right? It's $1 billion. And I'm spending $500 million a year on product, my own network. That's what I want to do. One more question about Customers for Life.
Someone said, how often should you contact your buyers, like with regards to email marketing?
It depends, but at least once a month. Don't let it go longer than that. It depends. It depends if you have something relevant to say. If you have something relevant, you could always speak to them, right? You can speak to them once a week. I have people, like I remember, and no disrespect to Gary Vee, I'm sure he's very successful. I saw what he was doing. To me, it was too much, right? He was in my face too much. I had to drop it, right? But I've seen other people like Brendan Bouchard, who is more strategic about it, and I like getting his emails, right? So it's really about number one, you have to have a great copywriter, okay? Because if the emails suck, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt, okay? So make sure the copy on I'm actually going to go through copywriting, by the way, within next month. Because something that I do myself, I'm very good at it. I've written a bunch of books. I know all the rules. I'm going to teach you guys how to write great emails, how to write great texts, and all this sort of stuff. That'll be one of the weeks we do here, okay, coming up. Just make sure that you don't write bullshit to people. And every time you write them, it's not a fucking sale. It's the same thing with webinars. You know what I'm saying? Like, how long you wouldn't see the $9.99? It's so cheap, right? But if I was spending the whole time selling you shit, I'm wasting your time. Don't waste people's time. Send them emails that are hard to read and just about sales. Give them value. It'll come back to you in spades. And with that, I got to go. I love you all. It was a great training today, I think. I love this one. We still have referrals to cover in one of these upcoming weeks. Content is so much every week, something else, and we'll be repeating certain things. So again, it's about reinforcement. Your free, everyone free week is coming up. I'm going to try to do it this week. I just need to make sure we have it all, done operationally. All right. Love you all, and speak again. Probably many of you tomorrow or next day or shortly after. Take care.